welcome to the Metal for Nerds podcast. I'm Sean Mott, your host. This is episode 3. I have Matt Fox from Shai Hulud and Joel Haston from Pinup, and we just took an hour and talked about Star Wars. All three of us have a different knowledge level of Star Wars, so I think it was a really cool conversation. Before we get in that conversation, I'm going to go over the news. So in Star Wars, they just confirmed that a new movie is going to come out in 2022. What it's about, we have no idea, so I guess we'll have to wait and hear about that. They also confirmed, this is some of the coolest Star Wars news I've heard in a long time. Rosario Dawson has been confirmed to be playing a live-action Ahsoka in Mandalorian Season 2. This is super cool. I can't wait to see where this goes. I think it's perfect casting for the role. And they also rumored that she might get her own solo Disney Plus series as well. Now on to the conversation with Matt and Joel. Joel, Matt, what is up, my friends?
Hello, sir.
Hello, Sean Mott and Matthew Fox. How are we doing?
Doing good. Doing really good. How about you guys?
I'm good. Just, my job is non-existent now, so I decided to start a podcast, and now we're here.
Good move. Very good move.
Yeah, I mean, I'm great. It's a sunny 54 degrees here on the California coast,
Must be nice.
I'm just trapped inside talking to you two beautiful men. So that's how my day is doing.
You can't go wrong, really, with two beautiful men.
No, you cannot. I agree completely.
So has this coronavirus thing affected your guys' life at all?
Go for it, Joel.
I would definitely give that a solid yes. I live in California. Our governor is probably the most proactive of all of them, besides maybe the guy from New York.
Yeah, he's been really good.
We've had a shelter in place for over a week now order, you know what I mean? So we're doing all that. It's affected that for sure. I mean, being both an artist manager and a promoter, obviously that affected that. I lost like 4 months worth of income in basically like overnight.
Yep.
So I don't make a lot from it, but I make enough to pay my bills. So yeah, it's definitely affected me. I mean, we're losing a bunch of like famous venues here in Northern California, so that's a giant like bummer.
Yeah,
and luckily across the street from my house, there's a lovely little pet store, so I'm just over there slinging dog food to rich people. You know what I mean? That's got to do what we can to survive in these times.
Sure, absolutely.
Right.
Me? Well, Shai Hulud actually had a brief little tour in Europe. We were supposed to play Manchester Punk Festival, do a show in London, a couple in Germany, and a show in Belgium. And this would have been our first run in just about over 4 years, if you can believe that. So I was really excited about it. We have, I don't want to get too far into it, but we have Jay Pepito from Reign Supreme on vocals now. So I was really excited to get over there with all these guys. And COVID-19 just, burst out. One day I woke up a couple weeks ago and I got an email from British Airways that said your flights have been canceled. So it's completely out of our control. Other than that, I think you probably both know I'm a bit of a homebody anyway.
Yeah.
Social distancing is not trouble for me.
Just normal life.
Yeah. I mean, isn't that what Shai Hulud means in Latin, is social distancing?
I think you're right.
I believe it's German, Joel.
Oh, sorry.
No,
sorry.
It's not. I don't know.
Listen, man, I'm just trying to ride some spice worms, Sean. All right.
That was an Anchorman reference.
Oh, okay.
Using the German Santiago, which in German means
Oh, I see what you did there.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I was just gonna go into like real Shai Hulud origins, but you know what? You were funnier, Sean. So let's just go with that. So
I'll go with Sean. Yeah. But no, as far as my personal life, I mean, the Shai Hulud hit sucks because that was some income for me. But personally, otherwise, I don't go out. I don't like to be in big companies of people. So my personal life is pretty much the status quo.
That's fair enough. Matt, we were talking a little bit before we started recording. I think you remember better how we met than I do. So I'm going to let you take that a little bit.
As I recall it, and keep in mind, I'm a man of advancing age, so my memory might not be as good as yours. But as I recall it, the first time I heard about you, was as a designer, and you did a design for us that was printed by All In. I want to say this is like 2013. It could have been 2014.
I think it would have been before, because I think Ghost Ship ended in 2014, and we played a bunch of shows before that together.
Yeah. So somewhere around there, 2012, 13, I don't know. But yeah, and here's a little bit of information you didn't know. Not for some reason, because you are, but I was excited. I was like, wow, a cool hardcore guy is going to do our design. So I felt honored, and I never told you that.
That's so cool. I would never label myself as a cool hardcore guy.
Nor I would never label myself as one either. The furthest thing from it. Hence this podcast, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not cool hardcore guys. You know what I mean? The podcast is called Metalcore Nerds, because that's what
exactly.
we all are.
So there we are.
I think I remember now. I think I remember when we met in person, though.
Go ahead.
I think I saw you guys. I don't remember what tour it was, but it was right when you guys got back together, and you had Justin singing, and I became friends with him on the internet as well, and I came to Rochester and watched you guys. I don't remember who else was on the tour, to be honest, but I remember watching you guys.
I remember something that might predate all of this.
Oh no!
Wow, really?
Holy shit! I don't want to take up the podcast with this.
No, it's fine.
Stuff,
it's fine.
Okay, and if you want to edit this out, feel free. But if I remember correctly, I don't know if this is before we virtually met or after, but I messaged you because your former singer of Ghost Ship wanted to sing for Shai Hulud.
Oh my God!
Do you remember that?
Yes. He did a video. He recorded tracks, right?
I think so. I think I still have them somewhere. But I remember asking you, just said, hey, and like I said, if I remember correctly, I didn't know you at the time. I kind of went in blind, scared that, this guy from Scary Ghost Ship was going to get mad at me.
God.
That's how I feel about everybody. But yeah, I think I might have met you from that when your old singer wanted to audition for Hulud.
Yeah, that would have been like 2010, probably.
Yeah, that would have been a long time ago.
Crazy. So it just came to mind. That's what I remember.
Man, that's awesome. And Joel, I know we met through mutual friends, and we talked on the phone for an hour. And I remember Sam, my wife, being like, did you just get like a boyfriend or something? Because you seem way too happy after that phone call.
Well, I don't remember that, unfortunately. I'm sorry. I'm terrible. You know this. Worst human being alive, dude. But like, yeah, no, we met through some mutual friends, and we wanted to do some work together. I think it was a promoter agent friendship, which are always the most difficult to flourish. You know what I mean?
I think it was manager at first, because I brought up Born Anew, and that's before I picked them up, and I was going, hey, let's start this relationship and start with a band. And I went and saw them live like a week later, and you were like, let me know how they are live, and then maybe we'll do this together and see how it goes. I feel like we talked
before that, though.
We might have. That's just what I remember.
I feel like, when you were over at the first agency you were with, I think we like did it 1 or 2 shows together or something.
Oh yeah, actually we definitely might have.
And then it was fair. And then I probably remember hitting up. It was probably like Tanner or somebody like that, and I was like, "Yo, who the hell's this Sean Mock guy? Should I buy his shows?" And they were like, "Oh yeah, man, Sean's cool, man. Yeah." And then I realized you like wrestling and all the nerdy stuff I do, and that you had the most like luscious Fabio long hair ever back then.
Yes, you did.
And I was like, I need to meet this Greek god, and I did, and we've been in love ever since. Sorry, Sam.
It's okay. Sam's still number one. She'll kill you otherwise, and me probably.
Yeah. No, definitely.
And then we met in person at So What? That was when we met in person finally, right?
That is correct. I want to say yes.
Yeah, because because we hung out the Ghost Inside a little bit, but that was after.
Oh yeah. So we definitely that was after. Yeah.
Cool. Well, what got you guys into, whether it was comic books or a show or a movie when you were a kid, what got you into nerd related content?
Joel?
Okay, well, we're gonna go really far back, like little Joel time frame. So, and this might start like it's sounding like with a weird twist, so I apologize for all the listeners out there. But
It's fine.
basically, my dad used to read me Lord of the Rings books when I was like 5 in the bath.
Nice.
That's how I became a nerd.
I didn't know that. That's awesome. I love
so
that.
it was the Boxcar Kids. I don't know if any of you remember that book series.
No idea.
Don't worry about it. It was that, and then he read me, like the Indian in the Cupboard, that whole book series.
Yeah, I watched the movie when I was a kid.
And I really liked like some of the weird, just like how they had like a unique, simple take on magic and stuff like that. And I liked it. And my dad was like, "Oh, you might like these books." And then like he started reading me Lord of the Rings when I was like 6.
Wow,
that's some advanced stuff for a 6-year-old.
Yeah.
And then it was, and then so there was that, and then like every Christmas we would watch Star Wars together, like when we decorated like the tree. Like that's what like one of my earliest memories of like Christmas time is like USA Network before they went all corporate and started to blow chunks. Like they would always show, all the original Star Wars trilogy at Christmas time, and that was always like the day my dad told my mom, "Hey, we're gonna decorate the tree so we can watch Star Wars with Joel."
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Nice.
What about you, Matt?
Me, as far as I can remember, I was always into, as a kid, what you could call kid stuff, or as we call it as adults, nerd stuff. The first movie my mother took me to, I think, was the remake of King Kong. Wow. I'm old enough to remember when they sent you the Star Wars platform and backdrop before the figures came out. I don't know if you guys know about that.
Yeah, it was like it was like a play set, like
a mini little play set. Yeah. But it's because they didn't have the figures made yet, and that was so. My mother bought me that, and I liked all those things. But I think what I always say to people, I say my first crush. If somebody asks you your first celebrity crush, my first crush is Christopher Reeve, the Superman.
Okay.
Hence, so I don't know if you could see there's a Superman frame puzzle back there. So more so than Star Wars, more so than anything, it was the Superman movie that came out in 1978, which was my favorite. And as you can tell, 46-year-old man. There's Superman stuff scattered all throughout my little place here. But that's what did it for me. First and foremost, Superman.
That's awesome. I mean, that's a classic movie. I mean, I know a lot of Superman fans that still stands the test of time even now.
Yeah, he's on my keychain too.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, I mean, I would definitely say he's up there. Like he's probably the best Superman. He's definitely
he's my favorite. I mean,
he's definitely. I will say this: he's for sure the best Clark Kent, hands down.
Yeah, he's very good.
He was a great Clark Kent.
Yeah, I'm not a huge.
I think you have to balance that in.
Definitely.
When people have the perennial argument of who's the best Batman, it's like, well, you know what I mean? Who's the best Batman, but who's the best Bruce Wayne? You know what I mean? Like it's not the same.
Be both. Yeah, you got to be a good combo.
There is no good combo of both.
I think Christian Bale is the best. That's my opinion.
I mean,
Christian Bale was good.
Christian Bale, I agree, but really unpopular opinion coming out of my mouth right now. Ben Affleck as like the old, broken, bitter Bruce Wayne did perfect.
He was not bad. He was not bad.
They're like, I don't really need to flirt with you, Gal Gadot, even though you're the hottest fucking woman on the planet. You know what I mean? Because I'm broken and bitter, and Bane destroyed my life. You know what I mean? Like
my only qualm with Ben Affleck's Batman, I thought he was a good Batman. The movies just weren't good, and that was the big thing. Yeah. But he did kill people, which I don't like in a Batman. That's my thing. Like in the opening scene of BBS, he's just fucking mowing down people with a machine gun. I'm like, that's not Batman.
And see, I didn't like him as Batman. I just liked him as Bruce
Wayne. He was a pretty good Bruce Wayne. Besides in Justice League when he became the weird, joking grandpa. Like, he went from like bitter, jaded, angry dude to, hey, let's be a team. And because Batman is always reluctant to be in a team. It only happens when it's needed to happen. It's like forced almost. People are like, yo, I'm helping you. I don't care if you don't want my help. But he was the one being like, let's be a team. We need to be a team. That was a little weird.
It's always like, you can help me, but we'll do it my way.
Yeah.
Smart to me.
That was good. I think that the reason it went that route is because they were trying to compete with the Marvel movies.
Yeah, they were trying to play catch
yeah.
up, and it was just a bad
They
move.
needed to do something. It didn't work, obviously, but
it would have made more sense if they threw in an additional Batman movie where it's like you see him lose Robin, or you see the back breaking, like you see Ben Affleck's character transition into like I'm old and broken and I can't save the world by myself anymore. And we didn't get that. You know what I mean?
It was just straight in. I'm old and angry.
Yeah, it just went
off the jump.
Yeah, it just went from like I'm Batman. I don't need Gal Gadot to like I need everyone. Ezra, come here.
Yeah, come be my friends. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you might have kind of touched on it, but do you remember your first, since this is based on the Skywalker saga, do you remember your first, like, the thing that got you into Star Wars, or your first memory of Star Wars?
Yeah, not to jump ahead first, but the toy set that I mentioned was my introduction to Star Wars. My mother says that she took me to see the movie. I have, what was that, 1977? I have I have no recollection of seeing Star Wars in the theater. So for me, because I would have been 4, the first thing was that little backdrop and that little play set that I had. And I still have in my nerd stuffs a couple of the original figures that I had from when I was 4 or 5.
Wow.
So
that's
that
big
was
money. That's big money figures right there.
Not with the condition mine are in. I mean, they were thoroughly loved and thoroughly played with for many years.
That's the best kind of toy.
Currently, yeah. So that's my introduction to Star Wars. Is go figure the marketing.
What about you, Joel?
So, ironically, first time I watched Star Wars I was very, very young. You know what I mean? I don't remember how old I was. The reason I fell in love with that movie is my earliest memory of being scared of something is actually from A New Hope, when they're up on the rocks and the Tusken Raider pops up for the first time.
He's like,
like, well, the first time he does that, like it was. Yeah. I mean, the first time I watched that movie, I was probably 4 to 6 with my dad.
Yeah,
and I was raised pretty like I was pretty sheltered as a kid. Let's just leave it like that. So like the first time I saw that, it like scared the piss out of me, and then like. You know what I mean? I probably peed my pants, but I don't remember anything from that era of my life. So who fucking knows? You know what I mean? And like, but then so I went back and I remembered that, and then I remembered like just thinking how badass the fucking lightsaber duel between Obi-Wan and Darth Vader was. Yeah. You know what I mean? And then like, I remember the next year we watched it again, and I was like, that's just not scary. And then I was like, the next time I watched it with my dad, I was like, that wasn't scary. This is great. I love this. And then of course, we didn't have to deal with what you had to deal with, Matt, where it's like we didn't have to wait for the second one. I just went and watched, Empire. And I was like, oh my God, and then I watched the third one and I was like, this is the greatest love story ever written on the face of the planet. And I've been hooked ever since. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think for me, I don't remember the first time I exactly watched it. I just know I was super young because I had the 3-set box set of the VHS when I was a kid.
The gold one? I still have that. It's in my living room.
I don't think it was the gold one, but it was in one box and you took them out.
I have
the individual sleeves.
I still own the ones where it's the non-extended version and then the gold case of the extended version. And I even have, it's right above me in the bedroom here, I actually have the entire soundtrack from the first 3 movies on
Laserdisc?
CD.
Oh,
no, I wish it was on Laserdisc.
I was like, dude, if you had Laserdisc, that'd be
nuts. I do also have the A New Hope soundtrack on vinyl though.
That's sick.
That was a rare find. It even has like a poster on the inside of it that it has to do with something, I don't know.
Yeah, so I don't remember. I just know I liked them when I was a kid, and then obviously the prequels came out when I was almost a teenager, close to being a teenager. I don't remember when the first came. I know it was early 2000s.
Yeah.
When those came out, I was already broken and bitter.
So yeah.
I'm inclined to agree with you on that, Matt, both about myself and about you.
Yeah, sure.
So do you guys have a favorite trilogy? And so you said you were broken and bitter by the time the prequels came out. So did you not care, or?
I definitely did not care. My favorite is, the episodes 4 through 6.
The original.
Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. But yeah, I wasn't too interested in seeing the Phantom Menace when I don't want to take up too much time, but when I first saw the poster, I was really impressed. Because I thought I didn't know it was going to be about taxes. I thought it was what I wanted it to be was about purely Anakin Skywalker. And if you remember, the poster was just the little boy, and then I thought the Phantom Menace was behind him, that shadow of Darth Vader. And I thought, oh my God, wow, this is before the trailers, before anything. It was just the poster. Mm-hmm. And I remember thinking, wow, this could be great. If I were in charge of it, it would have been a slow-moving drama. And it would have been all about Anakin as a boy. So to make a long story short, though, once the trailers came out and I saw it was like a big giant cartoon, and the little boy says Yahoo! I was completely out. I was talked into seeing it when it hit the Dollar Theater in South Florida, wow. Right down the street from my place. My roommate's boyfriend said to me, Matt, it's playing. It's at the Dollar Theater. Let's go. And I said, I'll shell out $1 for it. And I got my money's worth. You know why? Because I to this day, I can't deny, as soon as the fanfare started and Star Wars came up on the logo and the scroll down and the scroll up of the text, I'm getting chills even thinking about it.
Yeah. Every time that comes on with the music, you're just like, I am in. It doesn't matter what Star Wars movie it is. You're just exactly. Like, I'm here for this.
Exactly.
It's true. Unfortunately, with a few of the newer ones and the Phantom Menace, as much as I was in at those moments, I got out pretty fucking quickly.
It's wild because I know the internet kind of tears apart the new ones, but that almost might be my favorite trilogy, and it's not really the execution because they definitely lacked in a overall vision for all three of them. But every trilogy besides the prequels, none of them had an overall vision really, because the original trilogy was it was one and done, and then it became so big he made it into a trilogy.
Yeah, but and he always, not to interrupt him, but he always says that he had this whole story. I don't believe that.
Yeah, I watched. I
think he had the idea, but I don't think he had. I don't think he's not Tolkien, bro. He shouldn't act like he had it all written down in books and books and was just waiting for someone to buy it.
Yeah, because I watched the making of the first movie because it's on Disney Plus, and it's insane. Like, that dude is a crazy person. He's a genius, but he's a crazy person, and there's no way with all the problems he had with that first movie. There's no way he thought there was going to be a second one.
Well,
off the bat, there's no way.
That's why Star Wars is as big as it is, and he made so much money off of it because no studio did the second one. He did it all himself. And I think you can argue this, Matt. You would probably know a little bit better because you were around for more of this, but a lot of people say that like movies and all this like nerd culture didn't exist. Like, there weren't t-shirts or merchandise. Like, Star Wars was kind of the first brand that did that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm certainly no aficionado, but from what I understand, like you, Star Wars is well. They consider Jaws like the first summer blockbuster.
Yeah, blockbuster.
Star Wars, Star Wars obviously took from that, but included all the. I mean, I remember receiving the catalog. I guess they were toy catalog. I don't know who they're from, but toy catalogs filled with like the coolest Star Wars stuff. Remote control R2-D2s, 2 remote control vans, one for the Empire, one for the Rebellion.
That's wild.
There's still something I really want, and apparently it's George Lucas says it's his favorite bit of Star Wars merchandise from the old stuff, which is an R2-D2 cookie jar from the 70s.
That's incredible.
I remember seeing all this stuff in these catalogs. So like Joel said, I mean, to the best of my knowledge, that was the first time that marketing for a movie, hit the world that way.
Yeah. And getting back to what I was saying, the newer movies, the thing that really sucked me in is that the characters in it were the most interesting to me. And obviously, like, they kind of brought new depth to the old characters too, which I know some people criticize harshly. I don't. I liked their decisions. I know a lot of people don't, but the new characters are so, like, their story arc through it is the most interesting to me.
Correct.
And that's why I like the new trilogy more, which I know is kind of a hot take, I guess, because I know a lot of people kind of dog on them pretty hard.
I will say one thing that I appreciate is specifically the first of the new trilogy and the last was the fan service, but I don't necessarily mean all the nods. I mean, like, if you watch episodes 4, 5, and 6, and then you watch 7, like, JJ was perfect, bro. Like, the visuals, it looked like there's never been that long of a gap between movies where the follow-up, the vibe, the feel, like the emotions are the same.
It felt like the original Star Wars.
And it might not be at first when they're like, you know, when Rey and Finn are on the planet, but as soon as you see that, for me, it's that scene where Poe is strapped in the torture chair. I'm like, dude, this looks like they just plopped this scene straight out of Empire. But it's just now with a modern camera. And the only other movie series that's ever been able to replicate, like, the feeling graphically, to me, the only movie in all time that's had a gap that's done it all like that is Blade Runner. You know?
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
But those are the only 2 movie series I've ever seen. Like, you know, they've done a lot of reboots. They've done a lot of, like, even, you know, those terrible Indiana Jones continuations. Like, the only reason it looked the same is that kind of cheese. I shouldn't say cheesy action, but it's like cheesy. It's not hard to recreate, you know, and like Harrison Ford can basically do no wrong, but that's not the point. You know, but even then, it, like, the movies don't feel the same. You know what I mean? Even though it's this.
Sure. So I don't disagree with your takes on the new. All I've seen is the Force Awakens, and then I saw The Last Jedi. I haven't seen the last one yet. Okay. But with The Force Awakens, J.J. Abrams did a lot of fan service, and exactly what Joel said. I'm not even talking about the nods. I'm talking about the feel of the movie.
Yeah.
But I have to say, I think what nailed it even better than that, which I thought really nailed it dead on, was Rogue One.
Yeah.
You know, I thought that it felt like it was exactly where it's supposed to be in the timeline.
Yeah.
I was really impressed with that.
I was actually going to say, when Sean asks, like, you know, our favorite trilogy, whatever, like, you know, the regular, you know, the first 3 movies are my favorite, but Rogue One is my favorite movie after that, maybe even over, like, all of them except maybe Empire. You know, like, that's the only one of the new movies that I've seen more than 3 times is Rogue One. That's the only one. I just
Rogue One was, I thought it was great when it was on Netflix for a while. I must have watched it 3 or 4 times after seeing it in the theater, and I loved it in the theater.
Same.
But I mean, spoiler alert for anyone listening: the Darth Vader scene at the end is just like. Yeah, everything that you've been waiting for 30 years or so.
Yeah,
and
great movie.
And when they are sitting, that last scene when they're sitting on the beach and the planets.
Oh my god!
Like, literally, I cried hard. I cry harder at that scene than when fucking Han dies. You know what I mean? Like,
that definitely hits. It hits pretty hard because you don't expect, like, you just met these characters. You don't think they're all going to die. There's just, like, no way. You know, and they do.
It was a great movie, and I think it doesn't compare to me to the nostalgia of my youth. Correct. You know, with episodes 4 through 6, but I think arguably, Rogue One may be the best Star Wars movie made. Sure. Again, not my favorite, but it's really a great movie.
Well, it is a great movie.
Talking about, I want to watch it again.
Well, also, Matt, in my opinion, and I've told Sean this in private conversations before. What I love about Rogue One is I think Rogue One gives you the biggest piece of the galactic Star Wars puzzle that you don't get from the 3 prequel movies. Something that I've never realized as a nerd, and that's that the kyber crystals that they're mining from the planets are what power lightsabers, and they're the exact same crystals that power the Death Star. Like, how did we go 35 years without realizing or being told that? You know, like, when you think about it, you're like, what? You know,
That's
Like-
definitely a welcome addition to the lore. Much better than the midichlorians.
Oh
God,
my
yes,
yeah, if I could.
yes.
And it's so funny because people are like, Disney ruined Star Wars, and I was like, you know that the next string of movies George Lucas wanted to make was just about midichlorians? Like, you know that, right?
Oh,
Like,
God.
did you really want to see that? Because I didn't. I don't.
Yeah.
I'm good.
No.
Honestly, that's my favorite thing with Matt, have you watched the Clone Wars? Like the animated series?
No, nothing like that.
Okay, so the last so they're on the 7th season now. It just got renewed, but it's been in limbo for a couple of years.
Yeah.
The last like 4 or 5 episodes of the 6th season are all Yoda. It's just all Yoda basically, and it's dealing with like life and death, and it basically like they lean into basically how like Qui-Gon and Yoda and Anakin live on in the Force after.
Yeah, because Qui-Gon is the first person to be able to become a Force ghost.
They explain that, and they literally, I was so happy they didn't use the fucking word midichlorian once. And then they were just talking about like the cosmic force, and then there's like the living force, and how they both feed into each other, and it's like a cycle. It's kind of like oh man, it's like the Earth religion, where you're reborn. You know what I mean? Like how we're all just
reincarnation.
Thank you.
Oh, like,
God, I don't know why I couldn't figure out that. It's like a cycle where like the living force feeds the cosmic force, and the cosmic force gives the living force life.
Yeah.
Like the way they explain it is like, and it's like 4 episodes of just Yoda exploring, like becoming the most powerful. Well, he's not the most powerful Jedi that's ever lived, but he's the most powerful, like positive force user that's ever lived, I would say.
Yeah. So Matt, Clone Wars, the animated series, I'm only in like season 2 of it, but I have.
Sorry, Sean. I just ruined that for you.
No,
sorry.
I mean it's been out for years, so most of it I know what happens in it is fine. I'm just watching it to like watch it for the first time, but it basically makes. I like the prequels, but it basically makes the grand scope of the prequels way better because it fills in the gap between episode 2 and 3, but it's now in a 7th season of it, so it's 7 seasons of the time span between 2 and 3.
And let me ask
a little bit, yeah.
Let me ask you, Matt, who out of everything you've seen from all the different Star Wars universes, who is the greatest? I'm sorry, the greatest and the truest Jedi, in your opinion, as it stands with your knowledge right now?
Oh well, my knowledge is limited really to the original trilogy, so
Yeah,
I'm
but what's your answer?
Obi-Wan.
Okay.
Oh,
well,
wow.
Let me tell you something.
School me.
If you are an Obi-Wan Kenobi fanboy, like I am, I will openly admit that.
Yes.
Clone Wars, Sean, once you get to the 5th season, you'll text me and just be like, I know what the fuck you were talking about. He is the truest. He might not have been the most powerful, but he is the greatest and the truest Jedi that has ever lived. Like the amount of adversity and like struggle that he deals with in just the Clone Wars series alone, not even in the movies. You have like the most, like the fact that Anakin turned and he didn't after the shit he's dealt with.
Yeah.
Is like, dude, it's like literally mind blowing. Literally.
Yeah, even thinking about it without the Clone Wars, like it's like the thing that it doesn't frustrate me about the movies as a whole, but the actions the characters take in the movies, and it's nothing against the movies. It's just me being frustrated with the over cockiness of the Jedi, because Yoda straight up goes, "Don't train Anakin," and then Obi-Wan's like, "I'm going to train him anyway." And he even says in episode 2, I think, he's like, "You'll be the death of me," which obviously he is the death of him. But the thing is, he trains this Jedi who's supposed to be the chosen one. He knows he's supposed to be the chosen one. He trains him. He watches him turn. He fights him. Literally helps turn him into Darth Vader. And then still, after that, guards his son for, decades? And then trains his son to end up being the one to bring balance to the Force years later. So even that, without even watching Clone Wars, it makes him like the most true to form Jedi. You know what I mean?
And you're missing something from your whole story. Not only does he do all that, you're 100% right. The reason why, the whole time he is honoring the last wish of Qui-Gon
Jinn.
That is the whole time. The whole time, his entire life is honoring his master's final wish.
Words.
Like that is like, and that's why he's the Jedi's Jedi, because like that's all. This is the one thing my master asked was train the boy,
and he
so
did.
I trained the boy,
regardless of the consequences.
Correct. All right, sorry, we got way off subject, Sean.
No, this is what this is about. I don't care if it gets off subject. It doesn't matter. I had a podcast with Joey about the Dark Knight and Iron Man, and we spent like 15 minutes talking about Star Wars. So it's whatever.
Well, here's my hot take. So obviously the first three, like the original trilogy is the best. Rogue One is the best movie, maybe even on top of those, but especially after that, Yeah. But I have to say something, and I do not know a single Star Wars fan that has ever agreed with me. So the hottest take I can give this podcast for you is that Episode 2 is the most important episode, period, of all 9 Star Wars movies.
I couldn't begin to comment. I've never seen it, so.
Oh, okay. Well, in Episode 2, Anakin falls in love with Padme, and they secretly get married behind the Council's back, and
because you're not supposed to when you're a Jedi.
And so without him falling in love with Padme and disobeying the Council in a serious sense for the first time, if he had never fallen in love with her and gotten her pregnant, he would never have driven himself over the edge trying to save her.
Yeah, because he has those visions of her dying, so that's why he trusts Palpatine so much, is because he's like, I can help you save her, even though he knows he's not going to save her. He's just trying to manipulate him and get the stronger new apprentice.
Yeah. I mean, so that's my hot take with the whole thing, is like, people are always like, Episode 2 is the worst, and I'm like, listen, it might be the worst, but the parts when they're sneaking in the droid factory on Geonosis at the end, like the end of that movie is done very well.
Yeah, it's cool.
Like them
the whole big battle and stuff.
Yeah,
is pretty cool.
It's done, dude. It's done. You really can't argue that it's not done well if you like nerdy shit.
Yeah,
I'll have to watch it.
Yeah, you should.
Episode 3. Episode 3 is one of my favorites, even though it's very fast and things escalate very quickly. The whole ending scene is still one of the most like heart-wrenching, like brutal like battles in all of Star Wars.
I rewatched that recently, and like I think I texted you, Sean, like, nothing makes me as a grown man an emotional wreck as when Ewan McGregor cries. And it doesn't have to be Star Wars. It can be Moulin Rouge. You know what I mean? But when that man cries, dude, like when he says, "You were my Anakin brother, I loved you," and then it's like the camera swings, around on his face, and like he's all hot and sweaty, but you see the single tear running down his cheek. Yeah. I like walked out into the living room, and I went to Trina, and I was like, I forgot how much that fucking sucked, dude. Like
it does suck so bad.
She's like, "Are you okay?" I was like, I can't deal with Ewan McGregor crying. Like,
he's a great actor, honestly. He's incredible.
Yeah. He's good. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But
well, maybe I have a couple of friends that I promised I would begrudgingly give the episodes 2 and 3 a watch. So maybe
the biggest problem with them is the dialogue is just bad, and it's not the actor's fault. It's George Lucas's fault for sure. And the CGI is horrendous. It's
so overblown too.
Yeah, because that's what they did a great job with anything newer Star Wars, is they went back to practical, but then fine-tuning it with CGI, because now Disney has the best CGI of anyone ever.
Yeah, correct.
Sure.
So there's some points, especially in Episode 2, where it looks like you're watching the animated show Attack the Clones. That's how bad the CGI is.
Well, that's how I felt about Phantom Menace. I said, I was
as soon as they go underwater. Yeah, as soon as they go underwater, you're like, oh, this is like a bad video game.
Well, and every time you see General Grievous, it's like, dude, I'm watching a cartoon right now. Like, like that's not done well. They could have puppeted Grievous at that point in time. We had the technology. He could have been mostly a puppet, except for the lightsabers, and it would have been fine. Yeah, but they didn't.
To change subjects for a hot second.
Go ahead.
If I have a hot take at all, my hot take would be that Empire Strikes Back is not my favorite.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. Let me guess. Let's see if I know Matt Fox as well as I think I do. Return of the Jedi is your favorite.
No, my favorite is Star Wars: A New Hope.
Okay.
Really?
All right.
Yeah, I like far and away. As much as I love and appreciate Yoda for nostalgic reasons, when you first meet Yoda, it's well, especially for a child of the '70s, it's really difficult to not hear Grover and Miss Piggy. I mean, as much as I love Frank Oz, you know what I mean?
Oh man,
Yoda's introduction is so silly that it almost, it doesn't ruin the movie for me, but it definitely knocks it down a peg. So yeah, my favorite is A New Hope. It's the one that has the least goofball comedy. There's a couple things, but it doesn't stretch the parameters. For me, it doesn't. It fits within my ability to suspend disbelief.
Okay.
It's funny because
Empire Strikes Back doesn't.
It's funny because A New Hope for me, it's probably my least favorite. It's definitely my least favorite of the original trilogy, but it's probably pretty low. It's mostly, and it didn't happen until Last Jedi came out. I saw it with Sam in theaters, and then we went up to her uncle's for Christmas with all of her family, and we went and took her cousin and saw it again because I loved that movie. I enjoyed it a lot. And then on TV, because Star Wars is synonymous with Christmas now.
Yes, correct.
And then on TV was A New Hope, so we were all just in the living room watching it, and the ending happened, and I'm like, the ending is not good. I was like, this ending sucks. Like, I don't remember the ending being like this, and that's a pretty big hot take.
Star Wars?
Yeah, I don't like the ending. It's just like I get it to a standpoint because it was supposed to be just one movie. Boom, that's how it was ending. So they just ended it. But if you look in the grand scheme of things of the whole thing now, it's like the whole plot of that movie is completely redundant because they just rebuild what they defeat in the first one immediately. They're like, oh yeah, we destroyed the Death Star. Here's a new one here.
That's what really bothered me about Force Awakens. Are you kidding?
Yeah, with
another one?
Well, so
I know it's a different one, but it's still.
Well, we're gonna go.
You got to be.
We're gonna go.
What's that?
We're gonna go this way. We're gonna go swerve. So like I read the first probably like decade of extended Star Wars books after
the Legend stuff now. That's what it is now.
Oh, is that what it's called now? I have like 47 Star Wars novels on the shelf in the living room, something like that.
Pretty much anything that was written and then they made non-canon after Disney bought it is now referred to as Legends. I
so like the Star Killer base existed in the books, but was not the same thing. Like the other Death Stars, like there's more than one. There's a lot of things that aren't brought in that could have been much better stories. Like, Matt, do you remember in Rogue One when they're in the vault, like trying to find the secret name of the Death Star? Do you remember that part?
Sure, yeah.
So everything she reads off is a name of an old book that's no longer canon.
Oh, okay.
And that's that director giving us like a huge fan service. You know what I mean? Like,
oh wow,
yeah, like
interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah. And there's a storyline called the Darksaber, which is actually like the Hutts build just the cannon from the Death Star.
Oh.
And that's one of the things that's in there. And so there's a lot of stuff that they could have leaned on, and even the way the Star Killer is talked about in the books is like way different than it ended up being in the movie. And it's like they just had all this shit that they could have used, and yet like the movie was done very well. It's just like the plot is just the same.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. I refer to it as a better version of New Hope. That's my take on it.
I mean, I think
Force Awakens?
Yeah.
I think A New Hope's better for sure, and Matt, I will agree with you. I think Empire is the best movie, but Return of the Jedi is my favorite of the original three.
Yeah, Empire's my absolute favorite of all.
Yeah. So I think overall Empire is the better movie and is the most important one to watch. But Jedi, just like the way, like Lucas was crazy. You know, Sean, I can see your point with how A New Hope ends and all that stuff. But like the way you get the payoff with all the characters and their relationships in Jedi is just like, it's like for a man that the entire industry of Hollywood wrote off.
Yeah.
You know, like literally he had to self-fund Empire Strikes Back because nobody believed in the project. You know what I mean? For him being that, and the way the payoff with like the friendships, you know, the brother-sister reveal, you know, her, you know, Leia and Han falling in love, you know, even Vader eventually saving his own son, like all of it. You know what I mean? Just was like, I just love it, man. I love the storytelling he does. Like, I'm a storytelling guy. That's the thing.
Same.
And it's like, that's why it bums me out that the first 3 movies, like, I don't know what he did wrong, because he has a good story. The story's not bad. The story's good. Like,
and that's the thing. You know the ending of that story.
Yeah, if you peel all the shit away, well, yeah, you do. But if you peel all like the CGI and shit away, he still has a good story.
No, yeah, that's why I still like the prequels, because it does the job. It's just some of the aspects of it weren't done well, and it could have been a case of the time, honestly, because I mean that was the same time all the cheesy, terrible superhero movies were coming out too. So it could have been a product of the time. Who knows? Like we weren't there. We didn't help make the movie, you know. So
exactly.
It's hard to say.
For the record, I had nothing to do with the prequels.
Shai Hulud was the creator of the prequels.
Yes,
Christ! No wonder everybody hates us.
But isn't Shai Hulud the origin story? No, I'm just kidding. I'm sorry.
Oh my god.
You know, yeah, but it's like, and even like I think I own it. I don't know if I've read it though, but like the Phantom Menace, the book, the detail and like the notes, like the extra stuff in the story in the book is a pretty good picture.
Yeah.
And a lot of it they didn't use. Like they blew what, like half the budget on the fucking pod racing stuff. You know what I mean? Like you know what I mean? Like you could have been like the kid's force sensitive. We're in and we're out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, instead of making the crazy long drawn out.
Like it was cool to see.
Yeah.
But you don't even really see that much of, like, you could have portrayed Anakin's struggle with his mother being a slave in 15 minutes, not fucking, you know,
it's like
almost half the movie.
It's most of the movie.
Yeah.
Or most of the first half at least.
Yeah, exactly. Like the pod, you know, you could have done without a lot of that. You know what I mean? I mean, honestly,
I could have. Yes.
Yeah. Now, honestly, my question is like, what do we think? You know, we've all seen Phantom Menace. Mm-hmm. What do we think if Qui-Gon Jinn is not, you know, Liam Neeson? Because he held that movie together. You know what I mean? Like without him, that movie is a train wreck.
I would definitely not want to see anyone else in that position. Because how badass is it that like Liam Neeson was a Jedi? If you look at like all the people that play Jedis, it's a pretty wild list, honestly.
Yeah, no, it is. It is.
Sure. Yeah.
And I think my favorite part of that list is Samuel L. Jackson going,
"Fuck yeah,
I'm gonna do this, but I want my own fucking lightsaber that nobody else has that color."
Yeah, he's like, I'm getting a purple one. And
that's mine. That's what he told them. That's what he told Lucas. He was like, I'll do it.
Oh, that's what really happened with.
Yeah, he's like, I'll do it. He was like, I want to be in Star Wars. I want to be a Jedi, but I get my own motherfucking lightsaber. Like he's like, I want a purple lightsaber because and then they asked him why. He goes, because nobody else has that lightsaber color. I want my own. Like I'm Samuel L. Jackson. Like,
so sick.
Way to be a team player.
Yeah, but I mean, to be fair, when we heard that he was going to be Mace Windu, like as a kid, I freaked out. I was like, that's badass. You know what I mean?
Who doesn't want to see Samuel Jackson as Jedi? And he's supposed to be like the best lightsaber dueler of like all time. Is supposed to be Mace Windu.
Yeah, so know that. Yeah, so he's supposed to be the best fighter they've ever had. Yoda is supposed to be the most powerful Force wielder, and Qui-Gon Jinn has the deepest understanding of the Force. That's the way it breaks down.
Yep.
But I mean, all of that is irrelevant because Obi-Wan Kenobi is still the greatest Jedi that's ever lived.
So Matt, have you watched The Mandalorian or no?
When I saw the trailers, I was super excited, and then Baby Yoda appeared. Once I saw that there was a Baby Yoda, I tapped out. So
really?
I have plenty of friends that even dislike Star Wars that are telling me The Mandalorian is great. and that I have to watch it, and that Baby Yoda isn't nearly as cheesy as I think he is.
He's really not, honestly.
No, it's not. It's done well.
They did it. They did it very well. Well, because the whole thing, I follow like every nerd news site ever, so I see everything, even the crazy rumors. But they kept that Yoda thing on wraps hard, like so much as they held the marketing for it, like all the merchandising and stuff, which is good on Disney to like, hey, we'll take the hit on money initially to like give an actual surprise, because it's so hard to surprise people with all of the media that goes on nowadays. And it was saying like the ending of it is so shocking, and I was like racking my brain being like, what could be so shocking? Like, what could it be? Like, I have no idea. And then I watched it and it happened, and I was like, what the fuck? Because the big thing with Yoda is that, because obviously it's technically not Yoda, we just don't know what to call it, because we know nothing about the species. We just know that there was Yoda, and then there was the female one, Yaddle, and then now there's this one. And
I didn't even know about the female one.
She's briefly in episode 2, I think. I don't
you
even
literally
know
see her. You see her in one scene in the Jedi Council chambers, and that's it. That's it.
It's very brief. So everyone's like, Yaddle, what the fuck is Yaddle? And I was like, don't worry, it's like very brief. Like if you didn't catch it, like it's not that big of a deal. But like that's how little we know about this. We don't even know what the species is called. But like Joel said, Baby Yoda thing is done very well. It is very adorable and cute. But the way they use it is very smart, and it's not done. It's done very, very well.
So like Matt, like the reason I like the Baby Yoda thing is because it takes place. It's 5 years after the original trilogy, right, Sean?
Yeah, 5. It's 5 or 7 years, something like that.
Yeah, so it's like 5 years after Return of the Jedi, Matt. But the thing is the New Republic is in place, but it's a joke. It's failed. And you're in the corner of the galaxy where the Jedi are gone. So everybody considers them like a myth, a fable.
A lot of people don't even know what they are.
People don't even know what the Force is. So you finally have a Star Wars that has nothing to do with the Skywalkers. That's what it is.
Okay.
And that's why that's what intrigued me about it. Also, the Mandalorian culture was my favorite part of the old book series. You know what I mean? So the fact that I think genuinely, I think you'll like it.
Yeah, the only thing that it's like a warning, as I watched it week by week as it came out. At first, like the first like 5 episodes or something, it kind of starts to seem episodic where they don't connect, and a lot of people were very fast to judge it, being like, oh, this is terrible storytelling, it doesn't even connect. But at the end it does connect. I don't want to spoil anything, but at the end it does connect very well. It all comes together. They left some strings open, but it's a TV series. Like you need to leave some strings open for the future for stuff to build. So that makes sense. Correct. But most of everything played a part to lead to the ending, to make the ending as awesome as it is. And one of the guys who helped created it, he actually was the director behind Clone Wars and Rebels, the animated series. And then Jon Favreau, the dude who did Iron Man, and he was obviously in Iron Man and everything. Those two are the brains behind it. And you can tell they love, and they probably know more about Star Wars than anyone, than maybe George Lucas. And the thing is, they do the same thing as like the newer movies did, where it's mostly practical, but then they touch it up with CGI. Like Baby Yoda is a real puppet and everything, and they just add CGI to make him look like real as fuck. So the vibe of it is very Star Wars, even though you don't get the opening crawl and stuff. But it's like a Western samurai Star Wars story.
I think you would truly
insane.
love it. And the thing they're doing that blows my mind is like, with Clone Wars, the cartoon series, and Rebels, the cartoon series, and now how they ended season 1 of The Mandalorian, like they're literally bringing all the storytelling aspects of Star Wars together.
Yes.
So like, because I never watched the Clone Wars, the animated series. I never watched it. I didn't care. You know what I mean? And then I had a friend hit me up to watch Rebels, and I was like, okay, cool, I'll check it out. Loved Rebels. I was blown away by how great it was.
Yeah.
And then
Rebels is like I think it's 5 years before episode 4 or something like that. It's very close to before episode 4.
And where is that? Is that on Disney Plus or?
Yeah, it's on Disney Plus now. Now that they made their own streaming service, it's on there now. All of it, and it's done. I don't think they're
Rebels
making any
is
more
done.
new
No, Rebels. Yeah. So and like the way Rebels. So I watched Rebels and it ends, and then my friend was like, "Okay, you watched that. You shouldn't have watched that first. You should have watched Clone Wars first.
Yeah,
You're an idiot." And then I was like, "Whatever." because it has characters in it from both. And then I went back and then I watched Rebels, and then I watched The Mandalorian, and then I was like, the way The Mandalorian ends, I was like, just mental fireworks going off. And then now that I've gone back and watched Clone Wars, I'm like, oh man, it all like the buildup that we're getting, the fact that like their current live action series, which was I think was the #1 TV series like 4 weeks in a row or something in the world, is tying in with their 2 like digital series is like incredible to me. The fact that like Disney's trusting Favreau and some of these guys to like bring all this together and have like, I mean, that's like a decade-long payoff of stuff.
Yeah, sure.
So I think it's done incredibly well. And then
here's a question.
Go for it.
Do I need to watch Clone Wars or Rebels to enjoy and understand Mandalorian?
No.
There's a few stuff, since I haven't finished Clone Wars or watched any of Rebels yet because I want to finish Clone Wars first. There's a few things that I saw like articles or videos after, like, oh, this is why it's important, So it's like, it's just a few things that like you would freak out more if you watch that. But the overall story, no, you could know nothing about Star Wars at all and just watch it and it'd be fine. Yeah,
actually, a good friend of mine does not like Star Wars at all. And he loves The Mandalorian.
Yeah, that
so
makes sense.
I'll have to check it out. Like I said, Baby Yoda was such a turnoff for me. I hated so much that a girl that I was seeing bought me a Baby Yoda shirt,
That's
which
awesome.
I have. I wear it to bed.
That's amazing.
There you go.
Yeah, but I just can't. I can't say I can't. But when that surfaced, it just took the wind right out of my sails.
Which I understand.
For The Mandalorian.
I understand. Yeah.
I'll give it a chance. So I promise you here and now I will give it a chance.
Yes,
okay, cool.
I love that.
What did we all think, not to hijack your podcast, what did we all think about Solo? I'm really curious. Matt, did you see Solo?
I did see Solo.
Okay, I really want to hear what you two think about it.
So it was a fine movie. It was fun. It's a fun movie. The end part with Darth Maul got ruined for me on the internet, which sucks because I saw it like opening weekend. So the fact that it got ruined for me that fast just because someone tweeted it kind of sucked, because that was honestly one of the coolest parts of the movies. But some of the explanations, like the payoffs, kind of sucked for me. Like how he got the name Solo. Like it was like
terrible.
Like an Empire dude suggested it, and that's how he got it, like that. But the way he met Chewie was really cool for me. I thought that was pretty fun.
For me, it's the opposite. I didn't mind how he got Solo, but I wasn't thrilled about how he met Chewie personally.
Really? Why?
I've watched it now twice. I can't give you an answer. I would have to watch it again.
That's fair. You can have an opinion when not having a long explained explanation for it.
I couldn't say for sure why. I can tell you this: it's not what I wanted. I mean, like everybody, I was excited to see how they got together, but that's not the origin that I was hoping for. What is the origin that I was hoping for? I don't know, but it wasn't that.
See, I'm jaded because in those Legends series of books, there's a 3-part series about Han Solo. It's literally his origin, and it's fucking perfect. And like it rolls into like, because I think we can all agree in the original 3 movies, it's implied that Han Solo and Boba Fett have a history and hate each other, right? It's implied.
Yep.
So in the book series, Han Solo is a slave in the mines of Kessel. He works his way up. He frees him. He gets free. He swindles his way out, and then he's going to Kashyyyk working for a smuggler. And then like, that's when there is a way more noble origin story with Chewbacca. So this one was still good. I'm fine with the way they meet Chewie, but then Han falls in love with this girl, and the girl is actually the girl is basically Jen Erso. So the girl that Han falls in love with is the person who gives the plans to Bail Organa on Coruscant in the book. So
I wish we got that.
So Han Solo is like, he is a failed Imperial pilot. You know what I mean? So like that happens in the books, and then he falls in love with this chick, and then she becomes a rebel because she starts to see it all.
Huh.
So he's going to a bar on Coruscant. This is how the 3-book series ends. This is the payoff. You know what I mean? He rushes to Coruscant. He walks into this bar to prevent her from becoming a traitor and giving the plans from the Death Star to Bail Organa's spy or whatever, whoever it is. I forget. It's been a long time since I read the book. He walks in. She makes the handoff. And as he's coming up to her, he approaches her. And he's like, "What are you doing?" And she's like, "I'm sorry. Like, I love you. Like, I had to do this. If you don't want to be with me, like, I'll understand." And Han's about to respond to her, and Boba Fett the door slings open, and Boba Fett shoots her square through the heart. In the book, and that's like the payoff you get. And then they even do this. It's crazy because this is the first time Star Wars did this, where they write like a future novel. And it's like in the future, the last chapter of the book is in the future, and it's a payoff.
Oh.
And Han's living on some fucking tiny planet. You know what I mean? He's racing speeder bikes through swamps for money. Like, whatever he did drove Leia away from him. It does talk about how they had a kid together, though. So it's really weird how it's almost like the same Han in the
newer movies.
And then like, it's like insane because Han's there. He has one whole mechanical arm. You know what I mean? He still has his blaster. It's like scruffy Han. He's just this old guy, right? And like, it ends with he hears a metallic clanking on his window, and he turns around, and Boba Fett, all that's left is like, he's basically Grievous. Like, after he got spit out of the Sarlacc.
Yeah.
So he just stays a bounty hunter and keeps hunting people and getting more and more of his body destroyed. And the way the story ends is like, Han Solo finally kills, 70-year-old Han Solo finally kills Boba Fett for killing the love of his life.
Damn. That's
like,
sick.
Wow.
Dude, it's like, and so I'm jaded because of that. But like, as far as the movie goes, I didn't mind most of the story. The action was good. I hate that actor, dude. I just get him out. He's done. I couldn't. I
thought he did a really good job. I mean, anyone who set up for failure trying to recreate Harrison Ford, but I thought he did a good job for what he was given.
Yeah, I didn't mind him. I didn't love him, but you know who I did love was the guy that played Lando. I thought he captured.
Donald Glover. Yeah, he is.
He really nailed it.
Yeah, he's amazing in general.
For me, he was almost the high point of the movie.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
He did a great job.
That being the high point, and like, the story wasn't bad. Like, when Han agrees to go help the people, and is like, maybe I should. Yeah. He has kind of that mental, like, maybe I should help people, like, moment. And then like how Chewie kind of nudges him to do it. I think that's all great. And then how they threw like the dice in there that you see.
Yes.
Luke give Leia, and you know what I mean? Like, all those little nods. I was like, man, like, I want to like this movie, but it was just so difficult.
Yeah, because of the books. That makes sense.
I liked it. I just didn't love it. But I mean, it was solid. It was fun. I paid full price to see it.
Same.
And I didn't feel like I wasted my money. So,
see that. That's the interesting thing with Maul being at the end of that is like, the rumor is that Maul's going to make an appearance in season 2 of The Mandalorian, and it's all going to tie in again with Clone Wars and Rebels, and then that story arc from Solo. You know what I mean? Because that faction that Maul is running at the end of Solo,
the Crimson Dawn,
the Crimson Dawn comes into play in Clone Wars. Sean, you'll see in like a couple seasons. So like, it's like they're literally doing all this little shit to tie all their properties together, which is like, I mean,
that's smart.
But they did good with all the Marvel stuff, so I would assume that this will cap off well. But
who knows?
All right.
All right. So I'm ending every interview or discussion, whatever we want to call these, and with a section I like to call Metalcore Minute. So it's going to be a minute, and you have a minute to say whatever you're into right now, whether it be something you're watching on TV, a movie, music, whatever. So who wants to go first?
Joel should go first.
I should go first.
All right, Joel, you ready?
Yeah.
And go.
Okay, for my Metalcore Minute with Joel Cupcake on Sean Mott's Metalcore Nerds Podcast. I want to talk to you about a couple bands I think you should check out right now. Spirit Box. It's the old members of I Wrestled a Bear Once. Music is phenomenal. It does not sound like Iwabo at all. It's great. Matt Fox's other band, Zombie Apocalypse, fucking incredible. Sorry, Matt, didn't mean to go there, but I actually love the record. 18 Visions recently remastered most of their music. Definitely check it out. Totally worth it. And whatever the Acacia Strain is in the middle of releasing with all these lettered named albums, phenomenal. Love it. Can't wait for more of it. Great dudes. They rule. And then fucking Hatebreed. That's how I'm ending it.
Amazing. Even under a minute. Perfect. All right, Matt, you ready?
Mine is not nearly as in depth as his, but
that's
sure,
fine.
Let's go.
All right, and go.
I've been diving deeper into Black Sabbath.
Ooh.
Yeah, I became a fan of Black Sabbath about 10 years ago. As a kid, it just sounded too 70s and too dated for me, so, especially if you're listening to Metallica, Slayer, and Testament, you listen to Black Sabbath and it just doesn't do anything for you. Not at 13 years old anyway.
Correct.
So, now I'm a huge fan, and I'll dedicate my metalcore minute to my deepening love for Black Sabbath. I've been getting into the albums that I've never heard, like the comeback album with Dio, which is called, I think, Dehumanizer, which is great. I wasn't familiar with that one. And some of the other classics with Ozzy Osbourne that I just don't know as well as I know. I'm very familiar with Black Sabbath, and I'm very familiar with Paranoid, but all the records after that are kind of a blur to me. So I've been diving into each of them. And of course I know songs off each of those records, but the more and more I listen, each album is becoming its own, and it's making me an even huger Black Sabbath fan.
That's awesome. Thank you very much. That's the most Matt Fox answer I have ever heard.
What's the number one Black Sabbath record anyone listening should check out besides Paranoid, Matt Fox, in your opinion?
See, I'm still a newbie in that capacity. I can't say. Right now, I'm diving into Sabbath Bloody Sabbath, so I'll say that one because I'm just really enjoying it right now. But my having become a fan, 10 years sounds like a long time, but it's really not. Not for Black Sabbath and stuff.
No.
So I still consider myself a newbie. But yeah, if I have to answer that question, I'll go with Sabbath Bloody Sabbath.
Tight.
Awesome. I think that's it, guys. Thank you very much for doing this with me.
Hey, it's a pleasure. I am not nearly as schooled in Star Wars as you two, so I got a good schooling myself.
That's why I wanted to do it. Everyone kind of has a different level. Joel's more advanced than I am. I'm kind of like in above the average, but not near the fucking experts who have read all the books and watched everything.
And so I feel like
yeah, which is fine. That's why I wanted to do it, like a different perspective from each end,
Sure. Yeah. Well, thanks for having me. May the force be with you guys.
Yes,
the force be with you both as well. Thank you, Sean, for having us. Matt, always a pleasure being in your presence, my friend.
Yeah, text me sometime, huh?
I will.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
All right, see you later.
That's it. That's the episode. I hope you enjoyed Three Nerds just chatting about Star Wars. I had really fun with the conversation. As always, if you want to support the podcast, subscribe and review and rate on Apple Podcasts. Follow on Spotify. If you use Stitcher or Google Play, we're on there as well. Use that. And if you want to support monetarily, you can go to redcircle.com/metalcore-nerds/donations. And you can donate some money there. If not, again, subscribe, share it on social media, share it with a friend. And until next time, this is Metalcore Nerds.